Aloha. It is day 14 of the Eat Local Maui challenge, where I am eating 100% locally grown, raised and foraged foods from the Hawaiian Islands. And today I just wanted to highlight making a pumpkin soup, and to garnish it I'm going to be using some kukui nuts and some fried inner pine bark of the Monterey pine, Pinus radiata, which is considered an invasive species up at higher elevations here on Maui. I'm also going to be adding some of my beloved wild greens, some wild amaranth to the pot as well. All right, so I'm starting off with a pumpkin that a friend grew, and then I'm gonna cut it in half and scoop out all the seeds, and I'm gonna roast the seeds in the oven because they are delicious and nutritious, and we're gonna use those as topping as well. When I put it into my Instapot, and you know, of course, if you don't have an Instapot, you can boil it up in a steamer basket, you can bake your pumpkin. I mean, you know, if you've got a toaster oven, we make things work, right? So just adapt on that. But then I have a bunch of fresh herbs, and I'm gonna throw those in with the pumpkin when I'm like steaming cooking it. So ideally these maybe would have sat in some salted water like overnight, and then you drain the salted water. But you know, I'm ready to eat them now. So I just tossed them in some olive oil and threw on some salt, and we're gonna put them in the oven. All right, so my next steps are to take and saute up the wild greens, the amaranth, with some Maui onion and some local elephant garlic, well, everything's local, ginger and some herbs, and I'm gonna put lots of turmeric. I've been growing this beautiful turmeric, drying it and powdering it, so turmeric from the garden. And then I've been fermenting lemons also from my garden. And so that I'm just gonna put a little bit of fermented lemon in there just to like give a little umami. I'm also going to be adding some chicken broth that I made and some roasted tomato. I'm gonna cook that up, saute it, and then go ahead and put it in the blender along with the pumpkin, blend it up, and add some cocoa milk, and then we'll keep them busy cracking kukui nuts. Nice. Ooh. All right, so if you're interested in learning about how to identify and process the inner bark of the Monterey pine, I have private wild food classes that I offer, because this is really detailed information about how to care for our trees. Even if they're invasive species, they are our kin, they are our relatives, and they deserve to be respected. So the inner bark is a very unique type of wild food that we're only going to harvest from trees that have been cut for trail maintenance, that have fallen down in a storm. And it also is a very specific time in the plant's journey in which you harvest the inner bark. But it is quite abundant, and it is a unique flavor filled with all kinds of health promoting qualities. So what I've done is I've shredded this bark into really thin strips, and then I'm just frying it up in some coconut oil. And so yeah, the trick is really to, in my opinion, or my experience, is to really get it thin. All right, so I put my fried pine bark on top of all those other accoutrements, and we have a delicious 100% local soup to round out day 14.